Hello, this is Big Steve-O 101 back with my first video in a while. I was going to do a breakdown of my entire weekend at Wrestlemania in New Orleans, but I feel like Wrestlemania was shocking enough. We'll do a quick rundown here so that the results are still fresh in your mind, and then I'll do the full video when I have a little bit more time to put that together. So this was a really weird Wrestlemania overall. I feel like there was a lot of shock for the sake of shock. The writing staff just threw swerve after swerve. Some people might enjoy that, but some of it was just a little bit too out there. So I'm going to break it down match by match and kind of tell you where I fall on it and whether or not I thought it was any good. First off, things they got right. The pre-show Andre the Giant Battle Royal, well-told story. The story of Bray Wyatt being brought into the Broken Universe. They built towards that. They put him in the Lake of Reincarnation. They had him come help Matt at the Battle Royal. Matt won. They're now going to compete for the tag team titles, very likely at Greatest Royal Rumble after beating the Revival next week. That's really the way this should work. There should be an obvious storyline progression from before Mania through Mania into the next part of the year, or sometimes Mania should close up a story, but there should never just feel like something happened for the sake of things happening, which is a problem I have with a lot of the matches later in the show. Once again, just like last year, you can make a case that the Cruiserweight title match was the best match of the night. This was an incredible night for these two guys. Mustafa Ali, Cedric Alexander really tore the house down. And these guys are part of the future of this division. Cedric Alexander, I think, might actually leave 205 Live within the next year. But I think Mustafa Ali is definitely a backbone type of guy for that division. He and Buddy Murphy will probably be kind of the stars going forward as Alexander moves into the mid-card and maybe eventually even the upper card on either Raw or SmackDown. Alexander is actually just that good. Mustafa Ali also doing his part is a great cruiserweight. Very exciting to watch. This was a great match. They really kind of got this one right. Again, they've been positioning Alexander to be the top guy since really even Enzo was still there. So this felt like a real payoff, and it was really solid. Okay, first big swerve that I'm going to say was kind of bad. Not because Naomi won. Naomi is, in fact, one of the most athletic people. We hear it every week how great she is, and she's fun to watch. But she didn't even get her own intro. Like, she came in, I'm guessing probably for those of you watching at home, they maybe did some kind of promo, because there was a Becky Lynch intro, a wave of women, Sasha Bailey. And this whole build-up has been about Bailey and Sasha. And yeah, Bailey threw Sasha out, but that really should have ended the match. They had a good story going there. They had a big story going there between two of their top women, and they just kind of threw it away for the shock value of, haha, you didn't see that coming. And, I mean, maybe they'll give Naomi something to do after this, but this definitely has the feel of the first couple Andre the Giant Battle Royals where you won it and now nothing. So, a little disappointing, to be perfectly honest with you. On to the main card now, and the best match on the main card was the triple threat that opened things up for the Intercontinental title. Miz, Rollins, Balor are all as good as you think they're going to be. They're phenomenal. It's a fun watch. They had fun entrances. Everyone in the stadium was kind of feeling it. It was a great show opener. It brought a lot of energy, but I think putting the belt on Rollins was kind of the worst option here. And I know The Miz just had a kid, so maybe that's why he's walking away, but him becoming the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time sounds fun. It gives him something that really builds that heel ego of his. Finn has really been kind of treading water ever since coming back from the injury and could use this title to reestablish what Balor Club is. Seth Rollins is a top star with or without a belt. So giving him the belt's kind of a narrative dead end in that sure, Seth now has a belt, but now he's not in the main event picture, which is really where he belongs. And these other guys are going to kind of fall off a bit. So I feel like this was really the first of the decisions that the writing staff just got totally wrong on a night where they had quite a few misses. But I think the quality of the matches kind of made up for it, because it was a fun WrestleMania. It just wasn't a well-written WrestleMania. Another contender for match of the night. The show opened so strong. Asuka versus Charlotte for the Women's SmackDown Championship. This might be the best women's match we've seen on the main roster in a long time. Compare it side by side with most of the pay-per-view one-on-one events, and it's on a whole nother level. This was amazing. But it felt weird to have Asuka's streak end with no outside interference, no cash in. So Charlotte is already the most established woman on the roster. She doesn't need to beat Asuka's streak to get any more notoriety. And while I think WrestleMania is the place to end the streak, this would have been a great chance to turn Charlotte heel by having her cheat in some way, or have Carmella cash in mid-match a la Seth Rollins to get that nuclear heat of cheating to beat the streak. This kind of just kills 2.5 years of build with no payoff. She just lost. There's really no natural place to go but to have a rematch. Well, she can't because Charlotte lost the belt to Carmella, so there's no real chance for a rematch immediately. It just feels kind of like a wasted opportunity. You spend 2.5 years building towards something. I loved the match. The match was great, but I wanted a payoff, and there just wasn't one, and it's very disappointing. Okay, the U.S. title Fatal 4-Way, we all kind of went in knowing this was going to be meh. Nothing to talk about here. This was just not a great match. After the great opener, this felt like a massive pee break, which was good because, I mean, this was the death slot for sure after Asuka Charlotte, but still, they didn't really seem that into it. No one really was giving their all. And then Jinder Mahal winning, especially by pinning Rusev, was just a giant middle finger to all the fans. Like, it was an intentional, we'll teach you to root for somebody, and you will like Jinder because we tell you to like Jinder. It was horrible. This is the most forgettable match in a long time in WrestleMania. On to one of the best surprises of the evening. Ronda Rousey, she looked great out there in her tag team match with Kurt Angle against The Authority. Steph told a good story about hiding from Ronda and making her look strong. Ronda's many interactions with Triple H, won't he beat her up or attempt to. Angle looked a little bit better than he did in his last match where he was pretending to be a member of the Shield or the Survivor Series match. This was a lot better. He seemed more comfortable. Ronda killed all expectations. She was phenomenal. Triple H was doing his job well. Stephanie did her job well. Ronda went over. There wasn't any stupid ego involved here. So this is a good model for how to do a WrestleMania event. Give people something that the crowd's going to pop for because of a superstar like Ronda, and then make the match way better than they're expecting. You get something people will talk about for a while and that people are really going to love. This was a great thing for WWE. Hopefully they capitalize on this in some way by getting Ronda on TV consistently and getting her to not be Brock Lesnar 2.0. That would be wonderful. In one of the more predictable results of the night, we had the Bludgeon Brothers run right through New Day and the Usos for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. This match was in the death slot. I think they knew people were going to be impressed with Ronda and wanted to give them a little bit of a break. But actually, for a break match, this was really good. They had a lot of good spots. It was energetic. It was fast-paced. The Xavier Woods, or is he going to run, trying to think about should he run away or not, was a good little segment. It was fun. It was fun live. Nothing really to complain about. It just kind of went the way you'd expect. And again, storytelling is a good thing. If you have a story that makes sense, you should probably capitalize. One of my favorite jokes of the night, Elias coming out to the black screen to face off with John Cena. Yeah, he got beat up. Yeah, it was kind of a joke. And yeah, it really turned the crowd against him. But that's the point. He's a great heel. He has great timing. This was a really strong segment. And I hope that they continue to find ways to make Elias just generate that great heat that he is capable of. Because this was phenomenal. Then on to another really surprising result. John Cena jobbed out to The Undertaker in like a minute and a half, it felt like. It was fun. We got to see most of The Undertaker's old spot. He hit old school and looked a lot better shape than he's been in a long time. Yeah, it's weird to see John Cena get totally destroyed like that. But if this is telling me that The Undertaker can wrestle at least pretty well and can hit all the big events, Greatest Rumble, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, that's a huge win for WWE. Yeah, people don't like the part-time thing, but The Undertaker has earned the right as the man who's done more matches than anybody in the history of WWE to kind of call his shot. And if he can work the way he did against Cena for 10, 20 minutes at a time, he can be a really valuable asset to the roster going forward for the rest of the year. Kind of a letdown, to be honest, the tag team match, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon. Yeah, Daniel Bryan was going to go over in his big return, but it felt like there needed to be some kind of disappointment or bad blood between Shane and Daniel. It was almost like the last several months didn't happen. It was a little weird, but there's not a whole lot to complain about there. It was a very by-the-numbers match. Daniel Bryan was refusing medical attention, as he is prone to do. Go back to the last WrestleMania at New Orleans, and Shane was getting the crap beat out of him. Daniel Bryan shows up, saves the day. Not a whole lot to talk about here. It was the right result. I just wish that maybe they had had a little bit of a disgruntled Shane Daniel thing in the build-up. But, all in all, it was the right move. Kevin and Sami can definitely afford to eat the pin here. It's not going to derail them much. They're both really over as heels right now. So this was a well thought out match. There's just sometimes the superhuman babyface isn't what you need, and you need more of a mental reason for them to try and overcome, as opposed to, oh no, he's getting sent to the stretcher again. Oh wait, the stretchers can't stop Daniel Bryan because his body is immortal. It's a little weak, to be honest, at times. Give him something other than the fact that other people are trying to kill him all the time to be a little bit the underdog. Let him be the underdog that faced off with the Authority, that guy that built genuine fan respect from always having people out to get him, both mentally, physically. You don't have to tell the same match story every time where someone beats up Daniel Bryan, he comes back. There's other ways to build up that drama. And when you have a guy as good as Daniel Bryan, it just seems like a waste not to utilize all of his skills in that way. The next match we're going to talk about is the Raw Women's title match. Not a whole lot happened here either. Nia Jax went over as she should. The storyline was good building up. Again, good storytelling, okay match. Not going to be the thing you remember from this Mania, obviously. It was a little dull, but, on a 7-hour show, you're going to have some things that miss. Both of these girls are really good performers, so it's not really their fault. It's just the length of the show. It was running a little long at this point, and I think they suffered from that quite a bit. In another weird case of swerve for the sake of swerve, AJ Styles retaining the WWE title over Shinsuke felt strange. They've built up Shinsuke through the Rumble. He's got a new catchphrase, need a face. It looked like it was his time, but it just turned out not to be. The heel turn was a good start to continuing their rivalry, I guess. It looks like Shin's going to be the top heel on SmackDown for the foreseeable future, but I don't know. It felt like they could have given this match more time because they didn't get in a lot of their offense. The crowd was really out of it by this point, and it wasn't as good as people were expecting. Still one of the better matches on the card from a technical wrestling perspective, just kind of slow and uninteresting. And the swerve really didn't hit home because while Shinsuke's been kind of a dick of late, he hasn't really shown any signs of being truly one of the bad guys. So again, I feel like too many swerves that are writing dead ends that don't really go anywhere other than, haha, bet you didn't see Jinder winning. Ha, bet you didn't think Asuka's streak was going to end. Ha ha ha, Shinsuke didn't win either. We got you guys. Okay, you got us, but where do you go from here is a much more important question than did you swerve us? And I think that's where the writing staff missed the boat a little bit at WrestleMania as a general rule. Now for a segment that went on for way too long, Braun Strowman picking the kid out of the audience. It was a funny gag match. I don't have a problem with Nicholas and Braun winning the tag titles. it was good for what it was. It was entertaining, but it was kind of a letdown. You saved the Braun Strowman match for second to last on the card, and then you promise a mystery opponent. We know Lashley's there. We know Mysterio's hanging out at your hotel. You've done a great skit with Kurt Hawkins. You have Big Show under contract, and we get a little kid. It was a good pop laugh for a second, but just overall was a little disappointing with all the options they had available to them. To go that route was a little bit sad. But we'll see. Maybe this Braun turning in the tag titles, having this win under his belt, kind of pushes him even further up the card. I mean, I don't know what is further other than champion, but maybe this is it. Maybe this is the last step towards grooming him to be Universal Champion. Who knows? It was kind of a weird segment, but it wasn't bad. Just don't think it came at the right place. This joke would have gotten much better reaction early in the card when people weren't tired than it did, especially live. At this point, he was walking around the stadium for what felt like forever for those of us who had been sitting for 6 hours. So we were just like, grab someone and get on with it. Just grab them. So maybe not the right place for this joke, but a good joke nonetheless, I feel like, personally. Alright, another big swerve here in the grand finale of the night, the Universal title match. This being there live was uncomfortable to watch. I've never heard more different variants of boos or we don't care chants or just hundreds of chants. Basically, this match was a no-sell in the crowd. They brought in extra security. I'm not even kidding you. They had security running around grabbing all the beach balls that kept coming out at this point. No one wanted to see it. Then Reigns not going over was just like, oh great, not only did we see this, but now we have to see it again. You could tell they really weren't into it. You know, they threw a couple Superman punches and suplexes early, but then it was just finisher, 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 finisher. No storytelling. They weren't into it. The crowd wasn't into it. They tried to pop the crowd with the German announce table exploding, but literally no one was watching the match at that point. This was bad. This was real bad, and I almost feel bad for both guys. I know Lesnar phones in performances sometimes, and, you know, I'm not the biggest Reigns fan because I find him kind of generic, but at the same time, this was their moment at the end of the year, and the fans turned on them hard. It was really unfair, the amount of hate they got. Granted, the match kind of earned it by being bad, but the crowd was against them before the match turned out to be terrible, so it's hard to say who's really at fault here. This was awkward and painful, and I don't know if you could get from watching it online through the network how awkward and painful this was for everyone in the audience. Several people left after Shin AJ, and the people that stayed there literally to just make this match worse than it already was. It was bad, and I don't know what to say about it other than that. Overall reaction though, first live WrestleMania, I was there in the stands, and holy crap, is WrestleMania a great experience. I can sit here and complain about the swerves or, you know, say they booked things wrong or they have a narrative dead end, but at the end of the day, I watch WrestleMania every year because WrestleMania is always at least good. And more importantly, WrestleMania has a different feel. The grand entrances, getting a little bit of extra time for your match, a little bit more star power than normal. So while there's definitely some major flaws in this WrestleMania, which is disappointing because you looked at it, it's one of the better cards they've had in recent years in terms of talent on the card. But at the same time, you understand that there are going to be things that don't work out quite the way you want. Overall, good show, fun show, but just a little bit too many swerves over natural storytelling is still my biggest issue. And I know I've probably said that 100 times at this point. But I really do. I feel like sometimes you just tell the story that you think people want to hear, or the story that you think people are expecting. Because some swerves just don't go over, or they just don't really matter, or they don't add anything to the story. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. Most of the matches were fun to watch. I'd recommend it. It's much better, in my opinion, than several of the recent Manias. There's been a lot of bad ones of late. So I feel like this was a really good one. They could have done more with this card, but they could have done a lot less. So kudos to WWE for another really good show. And I know Lesnar-Reigns isn't the internet's favorite matchup, and it's certainly not mine, but I think in fairness to the product, I hope the Greatest Royal Rumble cage match goes a lot better. Even if the fans don't like Reigns, I hope that they at least respect what's going on, and that the Universal title should really mean something. And the fact that the fans were just crapping all over it is not okay. And it's not good for the business. It's not good for the company. And while they accept some responsibility for giving people what they don't want, the people have to accept that sometimes you're not going to get your favorite dream match. And you can't just, throw beach balls everywhere and mess around all the time because your guy's not in the main event. So yeah. Hopefully the Greatest Royal Rumble clears up a lot of the questions that came out of Mania. It's a little weird that they're doing it that way, but who knows? Maybe the Greatest Rumble mixed with Mania will provide one of the best months of WWE programming we've had in a long time. And like I said, I'm going to go through the entire WrestleMania weekend and all the shows I visited. I hit Evolve 102, The Crash, Lucha Libre, Lucha Underground versus TNA, Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor, and WrestleMania. So I'll be posting some video and pictures from those events and breaking down each of those shows and how they rank against each other. So that'll be a much bigger video, and hopefully that'll be up in the next couple of weeks. Hope you guys like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.